welcome to our DIY adventure today. We're going to transform this dark wooden chest into a vision of soft pink elegance, perfect for a little girl's room. As you can see, the finish on this chest is pretty rough. The varnish is flaking off, but the inside of it is a beautiful cedar. I'm not going to use any harsh chemicals. I'm not going to be stripping this. I'm not doing any heavy-duty sanding. I'm going to show you a quick and easy way to update this beautiful chest. I'm using Paris Pink by Chalky Chicks and their gel top coat. To prep this piece for painting, I'm using a 220 grit sanding block and giving a light sand to get off any of the flaking varnish, and then I'm going to clean it with soap and water. Paris Pink is a light pink with gray undertones. It works well in French country, shabby chic, and nursery room decor. I've cleaned the chest and let it dry, and now I'm showing you the first dip of my brush into this beautiful paint. Here we go. First swipe of the paintbrush, and look at how pretty the paint looks on this chest. I like to use a flat brush for angular pieces. It works well to get into all of the edges and the corners. But I like to use a round brush when I work into the carved details. The round brush helps the paint get into all of those beautiful, intricately carved little areas. When using the round brush, you can go in circular motions and it helps the paint get into all of those carved little edges. I like to give my brush a fine mist of water in between coats because it helps the paint to glide across the surface. And because we are back on a flat surface, I'm using my flat angle brush. The angle on it helps to get into the corners of the piece of furniture as well. The legs of this chest are round, so I'm back using my round brush again. It helps to get around the circumference of the leg and also those pretty carved little details. It helps the paint to get into all of those little bits. Chalky Chicks is a highly pigmented, low VOC paint. It's very thick and creamy, and it goes on so smooth and beautifully. As you can see, I'm finishing up this first coat of paint, and it's looking a little bit streaky. This is totally normal. Now is not the time to panic. When you're painting a dark piece of furniture, a lot of times you need to have a second coat. So when you see all of this streakiness, don't worry. Let it dry, and when you see the second coat go on, it's gonna be magic, I promise. If you're a messy painter, aka a paint flinger like me, and you don't want to mess up the inside of the chest, I recommend paint it closed, and then once it's dry, you can open up the lid and paint that inner lip where it wasn't painted before. I'm using a tiny little artist brush to get into these pesky little corners where the paint just does not want to get into. I don't want to have a big old lump of paint that's going to dry weird, so instead I'm using this tiny little artist brush, and it works like a charm. Okay peeps, it's time for that second coat, and this is where the magic happens. The first coat is streaky, it looks like a mess. You could be thinking, what have I done to this piece? Let it dry, trust the process. When you put the second coat on, it's gonna be beautiful. You don't have to do this with every single jar of paint we have, but if you have a lighter color paint and you're going to paint something dark, a lot of times you're gonna need that second coat. So just trust the process and have fun with it. This can be a time for you to meditate. This can be your me time. This can be your time to just take care of yourself. This can be a quiet moment where you get to paint and make something beautiful and just enjoy the whole act of bringing an old piece of furniture back to life. A 32-ounce jar of Chalky Chicks paint costs $37.95, and we now proudly offer free shipping over any purchase over $13. So that means that you would get this jar of paint with free shipping. And sometimes if you're on a tight budget, it's cheaper just to repaint what you have instead of going out and buying a new piece of furniture. I flipped the lid up so I can paint that inner edge, and after that, I decided I was going to leave the lid up and paint the top with the chest open. I see a bunch of bleed through and some possible tannins that are causing me a little bit of concern, but I'm going to do the second coat and see what happens. Hey peeps, did you know that Chalky Chicks Paint is made in the great state of Utah? That's right, it's manufactured in Utah and then it's hand poured and hand labeled at our sweet little warehouse in Murray, Utah. It's time to do a light distressing. So I got my safety goggles on and now I'm going to sand lightly around the edges of the chest to bring back some of that pretty wood detail. She's all done, painted and distressed. I'm going to brush off the dust from sanding and then I'm going to put some clear coat on her. I put my first coat of gel top coat onto my chest and it has started to yellow. It's pulling the tannins up from the wood. Sometimes when your wood is really old, you can get yellowing from the tannins, especially if you're using lighter paint. But don't worry, this is not the time to panic. I'm not going to resand it. I have a hack for this. I'm going to show you what I do. Here's my nifty trick to prevent bleed through and enhance your top coat. Simply mix 1 part paint with 2 parts top coat and mix thoroughly. The 1:2 ratio of paint to your gel top coat ensures that you get a little hint of color, but it will not compromise the protective qualities of your top coat. Mixing a little bit of paint into your top coat helps to prevent any types of stains or discoloration that can happen when you're painting an especially old piece of furniture. All right, peeps, it's time to use this little DIY hack that I showed you. As you can see, I'm painting my mixture of paint and top coat onto the chest. It's going on smoothly and evenly. It's going to dry very nicely, and you're going to see when it's all done that it's beautiful. And you can rest assured when you mix 1 part paint to 2 parts gel top coat that it's protected and it will not bleed through. And our chest is all done. We did a light sanding, we cleaned her, we painted her, we put some top coat on. She got a little bit of yellowing, so I mixed my gel top coat with paint to give a protective finish that protects against bleed through. Remember, no primer was used on this piece. You can find all paint and products on our website, chalkychicks.com.